Good morning, students. In today's class, we are going to start with a new chapter, that is problem solving methodology. In this chapter, we are going to learn how to solve problems. Solving problems with computers is easy, but the problem that we want to solve can come from any real world problem, or it can be an abstract problem. Okay, so we need to have a systematic approach to solve the problems. So we can't put the last step in the first or the first step in the last. So we have a systematic approach in order to solve this problem. That is step 1, step 2, stage. That is different stages are there in order to solve the problems, or different steps are there in order to solve the problems. Since we are using the computers to solve problems, it is important to first understand the computer's information uh, processing model. That is, a computer can have an input, then it will process, and then it gives the output. So already we have studied in last class, the input devices are mouse, keyboard, and the processing, that is CPU, will do the processing, and finally we get the output, that is the output will be displayed on the screen, or it can be taken a printout. So this is how the computer model works. That is a block diagram of the computer. We have seen there how the computer works. But in problem solving, here we are going to study the sequential process, that is stepwise process of analyzing the information related to a given situation, and then we are generating solution for these problems. But these solution for this problem cannot be generated in one step. So we follow a stepwise process in order to analyze the problem, and then we design the problem, and then we give the code for the problem, and then finally we test the program, and finally we do the documentation. So we go through a set of process where we finally get the solution to the problem. So this is how the any problem can be solved. So in problem solving, it's a part of process that is an interesting part, so that we can break this down into a small steps, and then finally we get the solution to that problem. So for example, if you want to calculate the average marks of all the students in the class, what we have to do, we have to get the marks of all the students. Then we have to type the marks in the system. So in order to type the marks, we are using the keyboard, and then we are typing the marks. So the step 1 is the input. So we are just giving the marks to the system. Then the system can't do anything. So we have to do the programming part, that is add all the marks and then compute the average grade. So this part is processing. Then finally we get the answer that can be seen either in the monitor or in the printer. We can get the printout, or it can be in a USB flash drive or a hard disk, or the combination of any of these devices, you get the output. So this happens in the system. Okay, but when the problem is small, you can do that. Okay, but when we have big projects and big programs that need to be done, we go through stepwise approach, where we are dividing this problem, and first we are defining the problem, then analyzing the problem, then we are designing the problem. After designing, we develop. In designing stage itself, we will do the algorithm and flow chart, and then we are writing the coding for that program. And once the coding is written, that is, we are writing the program, and finally we get the output. When we get the output also, we are not sure whether the output is correct, so we will test the program giving different outputs, whether the program is running properly or not, and we will check the errors, and if the errors are there, we have to debug the errors, that is correct the errors, and finally we get the solution to the output. Okay, so once we get the output also, then we have to do the documentation process. So these stages, we go through different stages in problem solving methodology. So step wise we are going, that is step 1 what we have to do, step 2 what we have to do. So finally we get the solution to the problem after the number of steps. We are going through all these steps, and then finally we get the output. So this is how any problem will be solved. So I just briefly told you about this problem solving methodology, what it is. It is just we are solving the problem. The problem can be solved by the computer, but we have to give the instructions to the computer what it has to do and how it has to do. All these instructions has to be given to the computer. Then we get the solution. So let us see what all we are going to study today in this problem solving methodology. First we should know what is the meaning of problem solving. So name itself you can tell we are solving some problem. Okay, we are solving a problem, so we are telling it as a problem solving. Okay, so the problem is being solved, but we are having different stages of problem solving. So we have to go through all these stages, then only you get the solution. So in this today's class we are going to learn about the different stages of problem solving. So in different stages of problem solving we will be studying about how to define, analyze, then design, then we do the coding, and then finally we get the output and we do the testing, and finally we are doing the documentation. Okay, these are different stages. We will study each stage in detail. And next thing what we are going to study is the algorithm. The meaning of algorithm, and then what are the characteristics of the algorithm, and I'll give you an example for the algorithm. Okay, all these comes under the design. Okay, so next is flowchart. Flowchart is a diagrammatic representation. Okay, we are drawing some symbols over here, and I'll explain each symbol in detail. Okay, next we have the types of flowchart. There are two types of flowchart. We'll study about that. So these are the topics we are going to learn today. Okay, so let's start with problem solving. Problem solving is defined as the task of expressing the solution of a computer problem in terms of simple operation in the computer. So that is known as problem solving. So you are giving the solution to a problem that is in terms of simple operations. We are going through a set of operations, and then we are getting the solution to the problem. So then we call it as problem solving. So let us see the steps that are involved in problem solving process. So the different steps involved in problem solving process are: the first one is problem definition, the second one is problem analysis, then algorithm development, then coding, testing and debugging, documentation and maintenance. So these are the different steps, or it is also known as stages, in order to solve the problem. So the first step is problem definition. Problem definition, this is the step where we are defining the problem. So what is the problem? You have to define. You should understand the problem, what type of problem it is. And next here the requirements are specified. You should specify what is required to solve this problem. The requirements of the problem is specified, and the problem solver must understand the problem very well to solve the problem. Definitely. Okay, first if he understands the problem, then it is easy for the programmer to solve the problem. If he doesn't understand the problem, if he understands the program or the problem in a wrong way, then it is very difficult to solve the problem. So first step is to define the problem. We should know what kind of problem it is. Then the requirements of the problem has to be specified. What is needed for this problem? How to solve this problem? So what is the requirements has to be specified. Then the problem solver must understand the problem very well. That is, correctly you should understand the problem in order to solve the problem efficiently. The next thing what we have to do is problem analysis. The second step, that is analyzing the problem, or analysis involves identifying the problem. So what we have to start analyzing what type of problem it is, and we have to identify the following things in the problem, that is input, that is the data you have to work with, and the outputs, what is your desired result. When you are giving the input, you should get that result. So what is the desired result you should know, and any additional requirements on the solution. You want anything else apart from this output, any other requirements are there in order to get the solution. All these requirements has to be specified. So you have to analyze the problem, that is by identifying what is the input needed and what is the output needed, and any other requirements are there that has to be specified. The next step is to design the problem, that is designing the solution for the problem. So the solution can be done, that is designing of the solution can be done using an algorithm and flowchart. Algorithm, you should know the meaning of algorithm. An algorithm is a step-by-step procedure to solve a given problem. So you are solving a problem step-wise, that is step 1, step 2, step 3. We are writing it in a step-wise and then solving the problem. So this algorithm was developed by a person, Muhammad al-Khwarizmi, in 9th century, and he was an Arab mathematician who developed methods for solving problems. That is, step-by-step instructions was given in order to solve the problem. And you can see the image over here. And this is the person who developed the algorithm, and he is also known as father of algebra. Now let us see the characteristics of the algorithm. The first characteristic is input. Algorithm always starts with the procedural steps to accept the input data. The algorithm must accept one or more data to be processed. So you have to accept the input data. In order to get the solution, you need an input. The next characteristic of the algorithm, or characteristics or features of the algorithm, is definite. Each operational step or the operation must be definite. That is, each and every instruction must be clearly specified that what should be done. Okay, so the algorithm, in algorithm we are writing step by step procedure. The step by step procedure, the first step is you should have an input, and the second feature of the algorithm is that it should be definite. Definite means that each and every instruction must be clearly specified. The next feature of algorithm is that the algorithm must be effective. That the algorithm will be effective only if each step in that algorithm will be carried out by a person using a paper and pencil. He has to solve manually with a minimum number of steps. Then that step is effective. Then the algorithm also becomes effective. The next feature of an algorithm is terminate. Terminate means after some minimum number of operations, the algorithm must come to an end. It cannot be continuing. Okay, so it has to come to an end. We have to terminate the algorithm. So that is also an important feature of algorithm. The next feature is output. Output, an algorithm is written to solve the problem. In order to solve the problem only we are writing this algorithm. So finally you should get that output and it should produce the output or the result. That is also an feature or characteristic of an algorithm. So these are the different characteristics of the algorithm. You can see an algorithm here. Already I have told you what is an algorithm and characteristics of algorithm. An algorithm is a step-by-step procedure in order to solve the problem. It's an algorithm. So we are taking an example here, that is to calculate a simple interest. Here we have a principal, rate and time will be given as the input, and you have to calculate simple interest. So in order to calculate a simple interest, you should know the formula. Okay, how to calculate the simple interest. That is one of the important information you need to know. Okay, simple interest, that is PTR. PTR divided by 100 is the formula which is used to calculate the simple interest. So since algorithm is a step-by procedure, we have step 1 start, step 2 input P, T, R, that is 3 inputs we have to give, principal, time and rate. Then step 3, you have got SI is equal to P into T into R divided by 100. This is the formula which is used to calculate the simple interest. P into T into R divided by 100. And the step 4, output SI, that is the output what we have calculated, the result will be stored in the SI, that is simple interest, and that has to be displayed as output. The last step is stop. So we are stopping the process. So this is how an algorithm looks. You have got idea, I think, what is an algorithm. Algorithm is a step by step procedure in order to solve a problem, and we have got a list of steps over here. Okay, like step 1, step 2, step 3. So you come to know first has to be given first. These steps cannot be mixed up. Okay, the first step should be always the first. You cannot put the last step stop in the first. So it is a stepwise procedure. First you have to give the input, then you have to use the formula, finally you get the output. In order to design the solution to a problem, we need a flow chart. A flow chart means the diagrammatic representation of an algorithm is called as flow chart. There are two types of flow chart. One is program flow chart, the other one is system flow chart. Let us see what is this program flow chart and the system flow chart. A program flow chart will specify only the flow of operations of the algorithm, but it will never specify the computer environment in which program will be executed. It will only tell you about the flow of information. Okay, it will specify only the flow of operation of the algorithm. But system flow chart is a flow chart which will give the overall view of the computer system environment. In addition to the flow of operation, it also gives you the information such as where the program is stored, like the program is stored in a magnetic disk, or whether the data is coming from the keyboard or it is coming from the mouse. So this kind of information will be specified in the system flow chart, but in the program flow chart it will specify only the flow of operations. So this is the two types of flow chart, that is program flow chart and the system flow chart. Next topic what we are going to learn is importance of flow chart or the advantages of flow chart. Okay, so here we are seeing the different advantages, that is communication. Flow chart are better way of communication of the logic of the program. So easily you can communicate logic of the program, how the program works. So you are able to communicate. That is one of the advantage. The next advantage is effective analysis. With the help of the flowchart, problem can be analyzed in a most effective way. So since it is a diagrammatic representation, it is very easy to analyze the problem. And the third importance is problem documentation. Program flowcharts, it will serve as a good program documentation which is needed for various purposes. So in order to solve the problem, you need the proper documentation. Without documentation, we are not able to analyze or we don't know what kind of program it is. So in that case, we need proper documentation. So what we are doing in this program has to be documented in a proper way. And the next importance of flowchart is efficient coding. The coding, how it has to be done. The flowchart acts as a guide or the blueprint during the system analysis and the program development phase. So when you are developing a program, this will act as a blueprint or it will act as a guide. Okay, seeing this flowchart, you will be able to start the coding in an efficient way. The next importance of flowchart is proper debugging. Proper debugging, it helps to correct the errors. In case any errors are there, using the flowchart, you will be able to correct the errors. The last importance is efficient program maintenance. The maintenance of the program becomes very easy with the help of the flowchart. It helps the programmer to put efforts more efficiently on a specific part. So the programmer can maintain the program properly with the help of flowchart. So these are the different advantages of flowchart or the importance of flowchart. Here you can see the different symbols of flowchart. So you have the oval shape here that is used for start and stop. That is the terminal and terminator. You have to, that is when you are starting a program, you have to use the start symbol, and when you are ending a program, you are using a stop. So it indicates start and stop or the end of the program. Okay, then you have a rhombus. Rhombus is used for decision making. So it will use whenever there is a decision making, we have to use the rhombus. The next symbol is rectangle. It is used for process. In order to do any kind of calculations or processing, then we are using this process symbol. The next symbol is input and output symbol. This is a parallelogram which is used in order to give the input or in order to display the output, we use this symbol. The next symbol is connector. Connector is used to connect the program, part of the program to another program. That is when there is no sufficient place in one page and we are going to the next page, then we are using a connector and connecting the flow chart. Okay, the next is preparation. Preparation symbol for mainly it is used for the for loop. We are using a loop that is called as for loop. For that we are using a preparation symbol. Apart from that, you can see here the lines arrow marks are used. So these arrow marks are used as the flow, that is how the data is been moved from one symbol to the another symbol. In order to show the how the control flows in the flow chart, we are using the arrow marks in order to show the flow of the data in the program. Okay, so these are the different symbols which are used in the flow chart.